So we're going to put to test what we've learned so far about lists, how to iterate through and display things or display data into list or table views as they're called in UIKit. So this is what we're going to be building. It's what I call Quack's app. So what this app does is goes and fetches a JSON API remotely somewhere else in the web, and then we display all this information inside of a list. So there's quite a few earthquakes that we are getting, but you can see the user interface is very simple. It's a list, and we have here a circle that contains a number. Now this is what a magnitude is, which is the unit that is used to measure how severe a certain earthquake was or not. Okay, so 2.9 is not too bad, and I think the maximum is about 7.0, which is catastrophic. But you can see here we have 5.0. So if we click, it goes ahead and shows in a map exactly where this quake happened. So in this case here, it happened in Indonesia. It tells us that we have a view. First of all, we have a map view showing it very nice, and we have an annotation, a marker there. So if you click on this marker, notice it gets bigger and it says in a very small font, magnitude 5. But we actually have the same information at the top here for each item, for each quake that we click on. So this one says 5.0 and the information where this happened. All right, so go back there, pick this one in Japan. It's going to go and fetch the map in Japan. You can actually move it, as you can see here, very nicely. And you can click. It's hard to see, but you can see there is magnitude 4.7, and there's the information right there. Okay, so keep going back. We can go ahead and pick the first one again. I think that's going to be the same one, but in a different area, as you can see. So this data is pretty recent. We're getting this information from USGS, earthquakeusgs.gov. So this is the website, the government website in the United States that has a lot of information about earthquake. So how do we get there? So if you go to earthquake.usgs.gov, earthquakes, and then you have this interface's website here. There's a lot of information you can look, but what you're interested in is the data and products. So click here. It's going to take you to this other page here where it has real-time earthquakes. Let's go ahead and click this one and see what happens. It's got all of this information, but what we really want, let's go back, is to go to web services, because a web server allows us to tap into it and get information from their databases. Okay, so click there. And we have here web APIs. That's what we need. So earthquakes, that's what we want. There's also another API about GeoServe. There's other APIs here for GeoServe, US Hazard. Let's click on the US Hazard, see. So US Hazard here, it will give you all this information about the conditions and the regions where those conditions, bad conditions are happening. All right, so you can explore all of these different other APIs, but we're interested in the earthquakes. It says here, earthquakes, real-time and catalog. If you click there, it will take you here, and you can see exactly how to use the earthquake. And this page here will give you the information that you need to understand how to get the data that you want. So ultimately, I'm going to have another tab here. Ultimately, what we need is to get information, this information about earthquakes. Okay, so let's go back here so I can show you exactly how to get there. Once you get there, it says, please note that automated application should use real-time JSON feeds, which is exactly what we want. Click there. And there you go. This page here gives you another description of this JSON, GeoJSON, and everything. But you can go ahead and read all this information. But most importantly, it gives us the output of our JSONs. Essentially, it's this. Okay, so it gives us exactly what we're expecting, a dictionary, which all these fields, and they're all their types. All right, so to the right here, there is our feed tab. So we have the past hour, so updated every minute. So if we go to click here, 4.5 or over, notice that there's this one in Indonesia. In fact, probably that's the one I just showed you. It is indeed a 4.5 magnitude. It has the time when that occurred. So this time is what we call the Unix timestamp. We'll talk about that later, okay? We'll have to convert that to a time or a date that we can actually read and it makes sense. And there's a lot of information here that we can actually get, but we're interested in the magnitude, the place, the time, and maybe the updated time, and also the type or also the title, but also we're interested in the coordinates. So these are the coordinates that we need to actually point on the map where this occurred. Okay, so this is what we're going to be using. So let's go back here. So depending on what you want to get, you can get the magnitude 4.5 plus every hour per se, as you see there, and it's updated every minute. If you go to at least less than 4.4, you notice now we have more earthquakes, right? Thank goodness, because that just means that the earthquakes that are happening are not as bad as 4, 5, or 7 even. Okay, so depending on what you want to do, you can go and fetch whichever frequency you want. You can go back down here. You can go and get all earthquakes. Obviously, it's going to go get all earthquakes that have happened in the past hour or so. Okay, if you want to get the past information, you can also go past day, or past 7 days, or past 30 days, and so forth. But what I kind of like, this is my preference at this point. You can change if you need to do so. I like to get this past hour and this 2.5, okay, which is exactly, I think is exactly what I have here on this other side here. I had this one open here so that I can show you later, but it's the same thing, okay? Very nice. If you refresh this, you will notice that all the information is there. So every minute this is being refreshed and is showing. So this API is what is being fetched to populate our application here with all this data. And you can see here we have the time. Like I told you, this is the field that we're getting the time from, and we're converting it into something that you can read. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started.